Memphis. It's time for Wolo, friends, on Sports 56. Here is your host, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Wolo.
Look up on the wall. There on the wall. Under the bottle.
Welcome in. A thundering Thursday. It literally could be thunderous. Could be very loud at FedEx Forum, too. Game 3 tonight. Can the Grizz use the FedEx Forum energy to halt an 11-game losing streak to the OKC Thunder? Maybe. We'll see. We'll ask Pete Pranica in just a little bit. What's got to change? How can you course correct and try to get back into this series? That would be improbable, but stranger things have happened. What does the TV voice of the Grizzlies think? The Tigers got a giant commitment. And I mean, seriously, he is a giant. The Tigers get Aaron Bradshaw. I think many of you have heard about this guy because he's 7'1". He was a 5-star McDonald's All-American. He started his career at Kentucky. He went to Ohio State. He has 2 years of eligibility left, but does that really matter anymore? Because if you have a great year, then somebody might offer you $4 million to go somewhere else. But he does have 2 years left. The numbers at both Kentucky and Ohio State would not exactly be considered staggering. However, maybe he can be a Dane Danger. The Tigers took Danger, whose numbers were nothing at Baylor and were decent his freshman year at Illinois, but not very good his sophomore year. He came here, developed, and became a tremendous offensive threat. And it helps that in the American, not that many great big men. But you know what? The Tigers played a pretty darn good non-conference schedule, and he started to really get polished in that stretch. Maybe this is what will happen with the 7'1" guy who had a nice, I don't know if it was Instagram or if it was Twitter, but he had both, all 10 toes down on Memphis. So that is the good news. The athletic director of the University of Memphis spoke last night at the Bank of Bartlett and had some interesting things to say. In particular, the commitment that the school will have toward, didn't give a number, but what they will have toward revenue sharing. And there is news that is going on right now. We're going to talk with Ron Higgins in our second segment about this, but we're going to have to still wait on the House case because that settlement is not going to occur until the NCAA changes a policy about limiting rosters. Judge Claudia Wilkin, who's approved everything else in this billion-dollar settlement, wants the NCAA to grandfather in rosters that were set, let's say, a year or two ago, so that players on current rosters don't get hurt by this decision and get cut. And I'll give you a good example. I believe that football is going to be limited to 100 players that will all get roster spots and get revenue share, okay? But most college football teams with walk-ons have 125. So guys get cut. Even scholarship players get cut. And that's why there's 4,600 people in the portal in the month of April. They were going to get cut. So the judge does not want those particular players to be out of positions because they decided to have this rule. She agrees to those limits, but those that are on rosters at the moment should be grandfathered in. And the NCAA didn't want that because a number of schools have already made the cuts. She's saying, that's too bad. I warned you. You shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't have cut those players. And until you agree to grandfather those guys in, this deal isn't getting done. So hold on, because most people think the NCAA will eventually make that decision. In the meantime, back to the Tigers. We don't know about Danger, but if the NCAA grants him another year, he'll be coming back. And now you see this team is starting to round out. They still need a point guard. They do have Dante Harris, who did not go in the portal, so I'm counting him as in. Now, he was a backup last year. Maybe he's a backup because they still have, I think, a really good shot, if it's not already a done deal, with K-State point guard Doug McDaniel. I think was 5th in the Big 12 in assists last year. He's still very much in the mix. I saw either an X or an Instagram picture of him in Tiger paraphernalia, and his family was wearing jerseys. So I like the chances for him. And you still could get back Haggerty. If you've got Haggerty, Danger, guys like Julius Stadford, who could be the sleeper on this team, Zach Davis, the kid that transferred from South Carolina, is a defensive wing. And then you get back Danger and Haggerty. That's a top 20 team right there. That is an interesting ball club. So all I can say in that regard is stay tuned. Our final segment of the week, Jarvis Greer will join us, and we are making votes today on I can't remember what class it'll be, for the Sports Hall of Fame. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Spring football game, that is on Saturday, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So we have a very, very busy show. Before we hook up with the TV voice of the Grizzlies, Pete Pranica, 2 sad notes today. I meant to mention this a couple of days ago when the news first came up. Mike Patrick, who I always thought was a good guy, and I had several conversations with him sitting on the sidelines before games. He was the ESPN announcer who did 18 years of Sunday Night Football on ESPN. Listen to this. Mike Patrick did 30 AAC championships. So this guy was a stalwart, a mainstay of the popularity growth of ESPN. Mike Patrick passing away at the age of 80, a life well lived. And he was the first guy I ever saw besides me that would use a cushion sort of to elevate himself. Not that I don't think he was quite as short as me. He's a little taller than me, but just so you could see over some of these scoring tables that have big top tides. You know, he had a cushion just like me. He was a great. Mike Patrick passing away at the age of 80. And this morning we found out that Steve McMichael, the iconic Bears defensive lineman who was a Hall of Famer, he was a part of the 46 defense of the 80s, passed away at the age of 67 from complications of ALS. He was one of the great Iron Men of the sport. He played 207 football games, 13 years with the Bears. But at one point, he played what is still a team record, and of course, this is a founding team of the National Football League. Steve McMichael played in 191 consecutive All-Star games. You may have remembered a couple of years ago when he got elected into the Hall of Fame. He could not go. His wife was beside him at their home in a Chicago suburb. He was wearing the blazer, and his sister gave a stirring speech about his legacy and how he wanted to be remembered, not as a guy fighting ALS, but as a guy who was a man who pushed himself as hard as he could in the game of football. Steve McMichael has passed away at the age of 67. Pete Pranica joins us in a minute. He's brought to you in part by Family Leisure. You know, I'm sitting in the Family Leisure studios, but I want you to go to I-40 and Wooden Road to cash in on the sale they call It's Pool Time. They're already now booking the pool installations for this year. Buy now and get on that list. You want to get some priority so that when it gets hot, and it's just around the corner, your pool will be installed and be ready. And you can get 24-foot pools doing the pool time sales for under $2,000. Liners are under $300, and all pool accessories are up to 20% off. Just head on over to I-40 and Wooden Road. Go see Billy. Go see Lindsay. Go tell them we sent you. And if you do, the installation, by the way, is free. just head on over and see what they got at Family Leisure. We head down the road, not far from here, and talk to the television voice of the Grizzlies. That is Pete Pranica. Good morning, Pete. So tell me, is there a way to course correct against what is obviously a great Oklahoma City team, down 2-love, but haven't lost at home yet in this best of 7 opening NBA playoff series? Good morning.
Good morning. Well, it's going to take, frankly, an outlier game from both teams. The Grizzlies have to play probably their best game of the season, and Oklahoma City has to play below their standard. I mean, that's just the reality of the situation. This is an Oklahoma City team that put up historic numbers offensively and defensively. They're incredibly balanced. They're healthy. They have, I think, the front runner for MVP. And they've got a lot of guys who know their roles and fulfill their roles very well. And one of the guys that the Grizzlies only saw one time in the regular season due to injury was Chet Holmgren. And Holmgren has absolutely been dominant in this series. And it's going to take a massive effort from the Grizzlies, and we have to quit turning the ball over for sure. But can they do it? Yes. But it is a massive, massive challenge against presumably, I don't want to say presumably, well, I think they're the best team in the NBA, flat out.
It's crazy because I haven't seen that many people pick them to win the whole thing. Most go to Boston or they go to Cleveland. So I am a bit surprised about their lack of recognition, but they're young. I mean, you mentioned Holmgren. He's only played in 12 NBA playoff games. So this is going to be a true test of great youth and frankly team play, because they play so well together. Especially, this is one of the best defensive teams I can remember seeing. But they don't have that DNA of playoffs in their blood yet. So it'll be a true test to see if youth can beat experience.
Yeah, it will be. And obviously, a lot of people like Boston. But everybody knows Boston has stars. I defy you to find an NBA fan, a casual NBA fan, that knows anybody on the Oklahoma City roster out of maybe Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Chet Holmgren. You know, they're not household names.
No, they don't know
right, they
Dort, for sure.
No, they should. And you talk about a guy who's really changed his game from primarily a guy who wanted to shoot threes and score. Now he's become a really, really good perimeter defender. You look at the scoring average, it's gone down every year of his career, but his defensive acumen has gone up every year. They're not a star-laden team. They're not a sexy team. Boston is sexy. They shoot a lot of threes. They play on the parquet. I mean, it's a legacy franchise. And so that's why I think a lot of people are overlooking Oklahoma City and probably the relative lack of playoff experience. You're right. At both these teams, the most experienced playoff guy the Grizzlies have is Luke Kennard, and that's 25 games. So both of these teams are very, very light on playoff experience.
Since you mentioned Luke Kennard and the experience aspect of it all, I've heard a lot of people try to dissect what's got to happen, and the outlier thing is they got to hit more threes, and that's hard to do against this team that closes out so well. But Luke Kennard would be maybe the first thing you would think about in hitting more threes to counter the great defensive paint job that Oak City does. Would you start Kennard in this game tonight?
I would, not necessarily because of his three-point shooting, but because I like Scottie Pippen coming off the bench to give you some energy. This is a Grizzlies team that their bench was second best in the NBA in terms of points per game. Their bench is giving them nothing, or next to nothing, really, in this series. And so to be able to bring Scottie off the bench, I think would be good. Give the Grizzlies maybe a little bit more size with the starting lineup. But ultimately, you know, the Grizzlies have struggled to find open looks for Luke Kennard. But you've got to move the ball quickly. This is an Oklahoma City defense. They are on a string. They are very well disciplined. They are the number one deflection team in the NBA, number one steal team in the NBA, number one in forcing turnovers, number one in protecting the paint. I mean, you know, I do all the numbers and all the ranks, and I'm typing in an awful lot of ones on my sheet because they're that good.
They are. You've seen a lot of defenses over the years. Where would you rank this defense compared to other championship teams?
I can't think of one better. Last year, Minnesota had led the league in defensive rating. Oklahoma City is about 3 points per 100 possessions better than the best team last year.
Wow.
To give you an idea, they've held 19 teams in the regular season to fewer than 100 points. That was the most in the NBA. You're talking about Mongo McMichael and the 46 defense.
Yeah.
This Oklahoma City defense might be the basketball equivalent of the 85 Bears. How's that? I
love it when you talk to me that way, especially from a Packer fan. Oh, man.
Yeah, I know. It kills me to say it.
Yeah. I got to ask about the turnovers, too. And I don't know. Yeah, 14, is that a fair number? That's what they had last game, but they still lost by 18 points in points off the turnovers. I think they had, almost 20 turnovers or more in the first game. Can you cut that down? Because that also turns to fast break points. And the Grizzlies have really been stymied in that, and they used to live off points, off turnovers and fast break points. Can you change that against OKC? And would that be something that could figure in to finally breaking this losing streak?
You have to be super disciplined and be super aware of how Oklahoma City switches and shifts their defense. Like I said, they're the highest deflection team in the NBA by a fair margin. And they lead the league in steals. So you just have to be very careful. You have to find your pockets of space. Cross-court passes should absolutely be a no-no against this team. So can they? Yes, but, man, you really have to be on your P's and Q's. And I think what has differentiated this series is that Oklahoma City has had a better grasp of the urgency of every single possession of all 48 minutes of a playoff game. And they are playing playoff basketball. The Grizzlies haven't gotten to that state yet. And why? I'm not exactly sure. Playoff basketball is a different animal. And we saw Oklahoma City, particularly with their hustle plays, especially I thought in Game 2, just winning rebounds that were 50-50 balls that the Grizzlies had a chance at. But I think Oklahoma City, they're playing with a greater sense of urgency. They are playing because they want a title. They also are playing, remember this, they're going to play the winner of Golden State and Houston. Now, I don't know about the status of Jimmy Butler after the hard fall last night. That's a series that very well could go 6 or 7 games. Oklahoma City wants to sweep this thing so that they can be totally rested for the next series, which will be a very, very difficult series because right now Houston and Golden State, man, that is a real knockdown drag-out.
I'll get back to the Jimmy Butler thing in just a second, but you talked about engaged and intense. And I don't mean to pile on because I think we all know how important John Morant is, but I haven't seen that engagement, that playoff intensity from him. How do you get him to turn that on? Who can motivate him in that regard?
It's on him. I mean, look, if you need a Newt Rockne speech, if you need some type of motivational tactic for the playoffs, then, we're not in a good place. You have to understand the urgency of every single possession. And I go back, I was thinking about this yesterday, Wolo, and John Morant even said it. He said, we put ourselves in this position. Think of this. The Grizzlies did not meet the moment in regular season games they needed to win to avoid the play-in. So they end up in the play-in, they go ahead, and if the official doesn't botch the call with 7 seconds left and the Grizzlies down 1, maybe the Grizzlies win the game. But because they didn't take care of business in the regular season, they were in the position of being in a play-in, and then now you come down to these vagaries of human judgment, and you lose that game. Now you've got to play a second play-in game. You have a 36-hour turnaround to go on the road and play the best team in the NBA. So this is something that, the Grizzlies, like I said, in the regular season, when they had games they needed to win, they couldn't meet the moment for whatever reason.
Well, those cards,
and that's part of the.
I agree, but I think if we take that a step further, there are games, and I understand that some organizations have this load management theory. There's a couple of home games that the Grizzlies lost resting key guys that if you had those victories, you would not be in that situation. So it just goes to show you, in my mind anyway, Every game of the 82 is important. You can't say, oh, well, we're going to rest against this team. That's just my sense of it.
I agree with you, Wolo. And that's why people say, well, the 82-game season is too long and the games don't matter. Baloney. I mean, the Grizzlies win a couple more games, and they're not in the play-in. They're in the sixth slot. Maybe they're playing the Lakers. It's not a great matchup for the Grizzlies, but it's a better matchup than Oklahoma City. So really and truly, despite all what fans can say that the 82 games really don't matter, when you are looking at how tight the West was this year, every single game mattered. And unfortunately, the Grizzlies didn't win enough of those must-win games to avoid the play-in.
Last thing on this series, the Grizzlies have now lost 11 in a row by an average of 20 points. It just goes to show you how good OKC truly is, because this is not a bad Grizzlies team. But I bring these things up to say, is this truly a fair audition for Thomas Izolo?
Not really, because you had different philosophies on how the team should play. My old friend Steve Snapper Jones, God rest his soul, would always say the best teams have an identity. And the identity of this Grizzlies team is they want to play fast, which pretty much everybody in the NBA wants to play fast. Getting down to the details, they really haven't been there. And Tomas has even said, he said, look, I can't change a whole lot from where we were. There's no practice time. And so is it a fair audition? I mean, he's put up in a very, very difficult situation. If he had been in charge from the get-go, maybe this team plays a little differently, and maybe their success rate is a little different. So, however this series ends, whether it ends in a sweep or a gentleman's sweep or however it ends, unless the Grizzlies, pull off this miracle and win it in 6, you can't really get statistically, I think, a read on Tomas's ability as a coach. So I think the Grizzlies front office and ownership will have a difficult decision about what they want to do about leadership going forward, because Tomas was put into a situation he didn't anticipate, in a very, very difficult situation in the middle of a race to try to stay out of the play-in, and then to face the Oklahoma City Thunder. I mean, that's a large mountain to climb.
Yeah, I don't think either way this is determined that this series should be a factor in that ultimate decision. Last thing, because we always run out of time, and that is the Golden State-Houston series. There was some irony in my mind to the injury to Jimmy Butler last night, because he gets undercut underneath the bucket and he comes down hard, and I hope he's okay, because I don't want to see anybody get injured and really sort of take out the way the whole series should go, change everything the way it would if Butler is out for this series. It certainly changed the complexion of the game last night. But the irony to me is that the guy that went into Butler was literally kind of shoved by who else but Draymond Green.
Of course. That's what Draymond Green does. He shoves people. And there were a couple of half-hearted swings at Dylan Brooks last night, too. So, it is ironic. And sometimes you get a little reckless with your physicality, it can hurt you.
Yeah, and that would be the case. I don't think we've heard anything on Jimmy Butler yet today. I know he was getting an MRI, so we'll figure that out. But you see any way that Golden State could win that series if they don't have Jimmy Butler the rest of the way?
Not likely. I mean, Steph has to go supernova in order for that to happen. But, I mean, Jimmy Butler is a big reason why they avoided the play-in and why they did end up with the seeding that they did end up with. So without Jimmy Butler, I think it's a very, very long odds for Golden State to advance.
Out of these other series where the home court advantage has been stolen, Minnesota over the Lakers, the Clippers over Denver, Detroit over the Knicks, which one of those teams will end up really winning that series?
I think the Clippers could. I think the Clippers are the most dangerous team in the NBA. I was talking with Stan Van Gundy, and he had been talking with Steve Kerr, and Steve Kerr said the team that scares him more than anybody else in the West is Los Angeles Clippers. So I'll take that to the bank. If Kawhi Leonard is turning back the clock the way he did in Game 2, This is a really good Clipper team. I think they could take out Denver.
And that is Pete Pranica. We'll be watching you. We have the option, right, tonight?
Yep.
Okay. What about if there is a next round? Do you get to do those?
No. The locals are limited to the first round this season, and sadly, next season with the new contracts kicking in, the locals will not be able to do even the first round of the playoffs.
Wow. So this is it for you for playoffs, and unless you get one of those gigs.
Unfortunately, that's the case.
Yeah. Sorry to hear that, because I know so many people love listening to you and to Brevin and Rob Fisher. We'll be listening tonight. Thank you much, Pete.
Thank you.
That's Pete Pranica, TV voice of the Grizzlies. We pause for a second. When we come back, down to Baton Rouge we go. We got the House settlement to talk a little bit about, a bunch of other stuff. Ron Higgins, our SEC historian, comes your way in just a minute.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
Elwood Shack and the Lowe's parking lot on summer just keeps getting bigger and better. Bigger because now there's a second Elwood Shack at 4040 Parker Plus at the University of Memphis. And better because you can get breakfast every day at both Elwood. There's the barbecue breakfast burrito, either beef brisket or pork shoulder, and pancake biscuits made fresh daily. Real house-made pancakes, apple and bacon, French toast, and more. And the new Elwood Vegan at the Real Coffee Bar serving fresh roasted J. Brooks coffee. Elwood Shack, now with 2 locations and open every day for you.
With XMC Technologies, your local source for the best in office technology for over 30 years. We believe that being a technology partner means meeting our clients' needs as they change over time. That's why I'm happy to share that we are now Visual Edge IT. As cyber attacks continue to be a growing threat, our customers are asking for more cybersecurity and ransomware protection. For more information on how to protect your office, visit us at visualedgeit.com or call us locally 901-737-8910.
All 650 acquisition fee, 20,000 miles per year, 20 cents excess mileage, 12,000 miles per year, $49.99 due its signing. Must finance through KFA, K4, SEO 87349, MSRP 25320, Storage S719 2005, MSRP 30,660, Telluride SG 596204, MSRP 41060. Includes all rebates and incentives, PF 895, excludes tax title and license with approved credit. Dealer stock only. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 5/2/25.
Hey, I got my buddy on the line. Hey, Jeff Allen, it's always awesome to see what's going on over there at Gossett Kia South Mount Moriah. What you got up your sleeve?
I'm making magic, Randy. I've got a new ride under $6 a day. 2025 Kia K4 LXS, $159 a month. 2025 Kia Sportage EX, $269 per month. And get more power, larger cargo area than a Nissan Pathfinder in a 2025 Kia Telluride S front-wheel drive, $398 a month. All $49.99 due at signing, 24-month lease.
Plus, every Gossett Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah.
We're online at KiaMountMoriah.com. Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56.
Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Wolo.
We will be headed to Baton Rouge momentarily. Ron Higgins is standing by, and he's brought to you by Ken Garland Custom Home Builders. 3 generations now, almost 80 years of building beautiful homes. I like to call them palaces in the Memphis area. All these years, or they renovate. I call it renovation with innovation. They'll take all the modern amenities because you don't want to leave your beautiful lot, your location. You love it there, but you want modern amenities. You want the media rooms with the speakers in the wall and the theater seating. You want the island in the kitchen. You want the granite top cabinet things. You want them all. And they know how to do it. Or maybe you've got land you're not sure how to utilize. You're ready to pull the trigger on that dream home. That's their absolute wheelhouse. And here's the best part. Ken will tell you the job is really never done. If 6 months later something occurs that you need to have adjusted, he's there. He and his son William now, they're there. They're making sure everything is perfect. Go to kengarland.com. You'll see what I'm talking about. And when it's time to build that dream home or maybe renovate and make that older home a modern palace, there's only one guy in my mind. That's Ken Garland, Custom Home Builders. To Baton Rouge we go, and Ron Higgins is standing by, and the news came out this morning, which is driving me crazy, but the judge in California, Claudia Wilkin, has said she will not approve the deal that she's already made, a $1 billion deal with the NCAA to put a salary cap basically with revenue sharing, the whole deal already done, but she will not approve the deal until the NCAA agrees to grandfather in limiting roster sizes. Those on rosters already get grandfathered in so they don't have to cut players. That's the whole point of Judge Wilkins. And the NCAA is saying, well, we've already cut some players. And she goes, well, that's your own doing. Figure it out. But I want a grandfather clause in. I don't want to see athletes get hurt. And then gradually they'll come to the limited rosters that they have, say, for football, which I think is 100, which kind of rules out all the walk-ons. Most schools have over 125. Good morning. What do you think is the eventual outcome of all this, Ron Higgins?
I think the judge wins.
Yeah.
I mean, she's not going to bend, and I'm on her side, man. I think you grandfather the stuff, and you just can't go cold and say, all right, we're going to do this, and all of a sudden you got to cut a ton of players. I mean, and baseball, most of them really probably almost like 10 players over in baseball at least. I mean, in football, like you said, 120, 125. You just can't. You can't just say we're going to do it right now. I like the grandfathered in. I agree with that. I think that's the way to go, and the way it should be done. And I don't think she's going to budge on that.
I know she's not. I mean, they're going to have to come back, and I believe the plaintiffs, the House side of this, they are saying, the NCAA is going to have to do this. They feel pretty confident about it. Now they're just going to have to go back and agree to do it. But there is some damage done already. I just read this today. 4,600 student athletes are in the portal because so many schools already made the cuts in anticipation of this. So I'm not sure what you do.
Yeah, exactly. You hate seeing programs, anticipate cutting programs. I always say it's amazing. They'll cut a couple of sports, and then all of a sudden, football will have 5 new analysts at $100,000 each.
Right.
Like really? I just think I think the NCAA, for some reason, thinks they have some kind of power, and they really don't. Even though they want to do this, like their whole deal, like they're going to have a clearinghouse for NIL deals.
Now hold on a second. That's really not the NCAA. This is part of the deal that was made with the judge. She thinks that is the fair way to go. So if people don't understand, let's clarify. Under this settlement, there will be revenue sharing. The first year is up to $20.5 million. Now, maybe all schools won't go to that, but that's the ceiling. So now you got a salary cap, and each school can divvy out that money however they want. I don't know where Title IX comes into play. I think it will come into play in some schools. Other schools might not abide that. But You got $20.5 million to work with. Now, NIL doesn't go away. But in the new NIL setup, in order to preserve some sort of financial sanity, because schools can't afford this, even the big Power Fours can't, they are saying that if you make over $600 from NIL money, 600 or more, it has to go through this independent clearinghouse that has devised a formula for each school in each market, I guess on the popularity or the name brand for that particular player, how big is his brand, and then they determine what is called a fair market value, and they put a price tag on that. In other words, if P.J. Haggerty does a spot for a car dealer here, he's going to make a lot more money than, let's just say, an offensive lineman might, or if Dave Woloshin did that spot. He's going to get more, but it's not going to be $4 million like it could be under the old setup. I don't know if this is going to work. I don't know how they do this formula for each market, but it's an interesting thing.
Yeah, somebody can be sued. I mean, that leaves you open. That's open to lawsuits. I mean, you're saying you're saying that the independent group can decide a value on your player, on your personality, whatever you have, and so he's going to. It can tell you a person what he's worth, what it comes down to, and that's the basic. I mean, human indecency to tell a guy how much you're worth this. And that's we think you're worth this, and I think I can see that be going open to a bunch of lawsuits.
So you don't see this working?
No, I don't see it working. Also, I see the clearinghouse, whatever it is, the independent group. I see that like being just like an absolute circus, trying to figure out all these players and all these teams, figure out all their formulas and all their markets and what they're doing. And like I said, so if a guy opens year at one position and maybe, gets switched to another position, he's better in the second position, all of a sudden his value goes up. Does the formula change during the year? Well, is there a moving needle as it goes along?
It would have to be. Because, let's give there's a kid that Memphis, I think, is getting. His name is Vieira Tuck, and he's a G League elite player, and he's coming in, and I'm sure he's been assigned some sort of a number already, NIL, and a lot of this stuff doesn't really take place, I think, until after this year. It'll be grandfathered in the way it is at the moment because you've already got your deals in place. But let's just say he becomes sensational. He's becomes a one and done deal.
Exactly.
His number of value has to go up at the end of the year, right? So if he's making, we'll make this up, $100 a spot in NIL to start the year, and then he's a superstar, being mentioned for All-American come NCAA time, now his number has to go way up, right? It's got to be 1,000. Got to be 10 times bigger.
You would think so. So you're going to have one organization track all this for all these different players, and hundreds and hundreds of players.
Thousands of players.
Come on, man.
Thousands of players.
Because
it's going to be it's going to be for baseball, it's going to be for softball, It's going to be basketball, men and women. It's going to be crazy. I'm with you. I don't understand how it works. Maybe we will get more enlightened as time goes on. Let me move one more minute because we're going to run out of time here. And I got to ask you your perception of the Iamalava brothers, Nico, and I can't even remember the other brother who was going to be a running back at Arkansas and is transferred back to UCLA, which he had originally committed to, because now Nico's going there, and it looks like Nico, who was going to get $2.4 million from Tennessee and wanted $4 million, is getting a haircut. He's only going to make $1.5 million at UCLA, and when you do the state income tax and all the other taxes that you got to pay in California, you didn't have to pay in Tennessee. It's like he's only going to make $900,000. He's taking $1.5 million pay cut.
Yeah, his dad needs to step away from advising him, really. It's just got to the point where, when his dad mistakenly think, he should make more money because the market value of quarterbacks has gone up. overall. Well, if you don't perform, you're not going to get more money. I mean, that's a basic fact of life in any job. They're not going to hand you more money unless you've done something for it. And Nico didn't do anything for it. Like I said, he didn't get into the playoffs. The running back and the defense did. They didn't get into the playoffs. And the fact that his father wanted a $1.6 million raise to $4 million a year was ludicrous. And then the whole deal with his brother, Arkansas may sue his brother because his brother signed a deal with Arkansas with the Arkansas Collective. And he's open to a lot.
So did he take the money?
Yeah, I mean, he's been there, so he took some money.
See, that to me reminds me of the Tyreek Smith case with Memphis. And I've never understood. You really never know. Did he get the money? Did he get all $250,000 that he was supposed to get, and he thought he was supposed to get more? I really don't know the answer to all of this. But if those guys took money and then didn't live up to the contract, how in the heck do they get away with that? How does Tyreek Smith get $250 and he never played one regular season minute at Memphis?
I know. To me, if you sign a contract and you've gotten some of the money, it doesn't matter. You haven't done anything for it, and you're breaking the contract. All of a sudden, it goes somewhere else.
And why would Deshaun Foster at UCLA take this guy after he committed to him and then said no?
I think one reason is a lot of the players on his team, on UCLA's team, already knew Nico, and they thought he would fit.
No, I'm talking about the brother. Nico, I can understand, and then it's like a trade because the kid that was at UCLA is transferring to Tennessee. Now he came from a mid-major, but that doesn't really mean anything because I think Seth Hennigan could have played anywhere, just about in the SEC, had he been given a chance.
Absolutely, I mean he would have been a really good SEC quarterback. He would have started a lot of places easily. It's amazing how. Guys get pegged as mid-major talent, and now you can actually move up. I mean, now you have a chance if you're a mid-major, you can move up with the NIL deal if you want to. But yeah, Hennigan was really good. I really enjoyed watching him, and I know Memphis fans did.
Yeah, they
he
did.
would have been. He'd been a good fit a lot of SEC schools.
I'm hoping
really.
he gets drafted. There's one mock that's got him going on Saturday, so let's hope that is the case. Ron Higgins, as always, it's a joy to talk with you. We will do this again next week. Thank you, buddy.
All right, Wolo, take care. We'll see you.
That's our SEC historian. That's Ron Higgins down in Baton Rouge. When we come back, we head downtown. The Hall of Famer, Jarvis Greer, is standing by. We'll talk Hall of Fame with the Hall of Famer. Jarvo is next.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Sports 56. When you're working outdoors, unpredictability is the norm. So take on the toughest jobs with a 2025 Honda Pioneer 7. This rugged side-by-side looks powered and incorporated with reliable tools to tolerate and smooth shifting through trails. And you can choose from 3 trails: Standard, Plus, and the Trim Timber Force Edition. Ultimate Island Adventures. See the 2025 Honda Pioneer 700 today at the Center Honda, 5637 Mill Road.
Looking for sports in all the wrong places. Try the Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland's Town Square. Fun, exciting, friendly, and comfortable. Wall-to-wall TVs, 24 taps for all your beers, including $3 domestic and $5 craft pints on Monday through Friday, 3 to 6 happy hour. Music during the Tuesdays, daily special. Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill, Lakeland's Town Square. Highway 70. Check those out for daily special and weekend music at the Owner's Box.
Locally owned and operated for over 40 years, Automatic Gates Construction tailors custom-made solutions for all your residential, commercial, and industrial needs, including repairs, maintenance, experiences in designing and installing automatic gates and fencing that seamlessly blends security, functionality, and aesthetic appeal. Elevate the safety and efficiency of your property with a premium gate solution. Automatic Gates Construction at myautomaticgates.com.
Spring is really one of the best times of year for sports and visiting Bell Tavern, Memphis' perfect downtown neighborhood bar. The Bell Tavern is a sports bar, but with the beginning of baseball, the stretch run for the Grizzlies, and everything else that's going on, there is simply no better place to be than Bell Tavern. One thing people say all the time is that they have made more friends at Bell Tavern than they have at any other bar. And that's because Bell Tavern is a grown-up bar where people treat one another with respect, and that's how you make friends. You go to a friendly place and find out what you have in common, like, say, Bell Tavern.
The Grizzlies are in the playoffs, and that's big news for Sports 56 listeners. Sports 56 convenient Alabama will be giving away $98.50 a day for as long as the Grizzlies stay alive. That's right. Each weekday, one of our shows will be putting cash in someone's pocket. More Grizzlies wins means more cash. So cheer on the Grizzlies and stay tuned to Sports 56 and 98.5 FM for your chance to win. The Grizzlies playoff is brought to you by Fort Wolo and Memphis Molding Spec.
We head downtown. The Hall of Famer Jarvis Greer about to join us. Jarvo, we are actually going to head downtown after this because we got a vote for the Hall of Fame today. A bunch of us all getting together to pick. I was trying to think, what class is this? Like the 6th or the 7th, right?
Geez, you put me on the spot there, Dave. I can't really remember. Is it the 7th? I know we did 2 in a row there. We combined 2 and 1 because of the year.
I think that was 2 and 3 we combined, right? Maybe 3 and 4.
Yeah.
And the first class was pretty big, and that class was pretty big.
Yeah, but they want to keep it around, between 7 and 10, 6 and 10 or so a year.
That's a decent number.
Yeah, so I think maybe 6 this year. It looks like.
Okay.
Yeah, some great names on there, Dave.
Oh yeah.
You got some favorites like guess who is eligible for this? John Calipari.
John Calipari. Ooh.
Yes, that is correct.
He deserves to be in.
Yes, because what he did, not just in Memphis, but in all of college basketball, those three straight years of 30-plus victories, nobody ever did.
How about this? He was here for 9 years. People don't seem to remember that he was here for 6 years. He took over a program that was in disarray. He built it up.
People were jumping on him, too, because, we spent all this money to bring you here, and you're not, show us the good. Well, showed him. He definitely did that.
He did. I'll be curious to see, because there's still a sentiment of those that because he took the team that would have been here with him, even though they really signed to play for him, but people have never forgiven him for that.
Well, listen, Dave, listen to this. Memphis has its own board now. University of Memphis has its own board. John Calipari is largely responsible for that because he went to Nashville himself along with a group of U of M ambassadors and other people and lobbied for the U of M to get out of the Tennessee Board of Regents, which they used to be in, which means Memphis was lumped in with every other school not named University of Tennessee, like Austin Peay and all the junior colleges, community colleges, Middle Tennessee State, and you kind of had to go around the horn until it's your turn again before you can get a project approved. So he did a lot of things behind the scenes. I mean, he was a mover and a shaker. People just think he was all out for himself. Now, would it benefit him ultimately? Yes. But, rising tide lifts all boats, and he did a great job in not just, wins and losses, but also in the community.
Well, I definitely think he belongs into the Hall. I don't know if people are ready to accept that. Sooner or later they will, but I think he belongs in right now. Who else do you like on that list?
Well, Larry Keenan is on that list. Remember?
Yeah.
Keenan was on that 73 team that played for the national championship against Bill Walton and UCLA. He made the all-tournament team that year. He actually scored 20 points against Walton before he fouled out. Of course, Walton had the incredible game. It was 44. But, that's the name that's on there. Let's see. Hillman Robbins is on there. Let's see. I'll run down here. Lucy Weiner, the gymnast. for Memphis that made the Olympic team is one of the ones that's up for consideration. The Martin brothers, who built the old Martin Stadium where the Memphis Red Sox, or the old Negro Leagues, they are on the list and they own the team also. Let's see, just running down some of the names here. Harry Shue, the great University of Memphis offensive lineman, had a wonderful career with the Raiders.
Wasn't he the first true All-American that the Tigers ever had?
I think he was.
Oh.
I believe he was. And here's a name that some fans may or may not know. I think it's Clarence Hooker Hood. Hooker Hood was you'd see him over at West Memphis, over at Old Riverside Speedway, in the dirt track. He is a Hall of Famer in dirt track lore for the entire World of Outlaws. Those are those sprint cars with the wings on the top. They really careen around the track. He's already in the National Hall of Fame for that. So, in my opinion, it would only be fitting that he was in. I used to go over there as a kid. Man, that was fun. You sit down on the lower rows and you get pelted with mud as those cars with that gumbo. As those cars go around the track, it was so much fun. But that's just a few of the names that are up for consideration.
Yeah, it's going to be a great class, and
yes.
So we're gonna make our votes today, and of course
there's 60 names on there. I was just pulling out a few that I was running down.
Yeah.
Phil Chamberlain's also on the list.
Who?
Phil Chamberlain.
Phil Chamberlain.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Former great U of M tennis player who went on to be the GM of the former tennis tournament we used to stop on the ACP tour.
And he was just put into the U of M Men's Club, M Club Sports Hall of Fame earlier this year. This could be a great week, a whole great period of time for Phil Chamberlain, that is for sure. All right, I got to ask you about Game 3 tonight. Your Grizzlies, you work for Grind City, so I can say that. Do you think they have a chance? Can they win a game in this series?
Well, to quote the great philosopher, keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. That's got to be the mantra tonight. I don't know what's going to be on the growl towel, but Oklahoma City is just crazy. But that's why you play. You never know. If the Grizzlies don't turn the ball over and hit some threes early and force Oklahoma City to have to call a first time out, get them back on their heels a little bit, which is a tall order. But if they could do that, especially cut down on the turnovers, they'll give themselves a fighting chance. Because basically, this Oklahoma City has built its leads in these games, just cashing in off Memphis turnovers and taking off on the fast break. I think it's like 48-5 difference in points off turnovers in this series. 48-5 in the two games. And if you look at that, that you take some of those turnovers away and you maybe hit a couple of buckets, then, like especially that last game that they just played there, they lost by 19, but, they had cut it to 6 in the second half, down there in the late in the third quarter before, a couple of turnovers, a couple of threes, a couple of loose balls that they didn't get to. One thing that Oklahoma City does, they play defense. And it's a bad matchup anyway. You could say it would be a bad matchup for any team against Oklahoma City because they won the West by 16 games, and they got the best net rating since the 96 Bulls, your Chicago Bulls.
Yep.
And, they won every game by average of double digits this year, every single freaking game. What the Grizzlies are best at is what the Oklahoma City is best at. The Grizzlies, and what the Grizzlies are worst at is one of the things that what Oklahoma City is best at, and that's Grizzlies turn it over a lot, and the Thunder force turnovers.
Well, the two things here are you've got to cut down on the turnovers because not only is it points off turnovers, but fast break points, where usually Memphis wins that battle, and they've gotten killed in both of those. And
it was 21-3 in the last game.
And hitting a few threes might open up some pain points too, because they haven't gotten many of those. While we're on the subject of hoops, you saw the news. The former 5-star McDonald's All-American Aaron Bradshaw, the 7-1 Giant who played at Kentucky and Ohio State, is now going to be a Tiger. What do you think of that class that Penny is starting to put together?
Well, he could be a serviceable big man. His offense has not been there. That's why he's been moved around a little bit. Calipari recruited him in Kentucky. Like you said, he was a 5-star, and that's like, they don't miss. Cal didn't mess with, any lower than a 4 or 5. And he is long, lanky, and he's not skinny. He kind of reminds you of a Marvin Bagley type. Bagley was a 5-star that went to Duke and had a All-American career with the Blue Devils. He's with the Grizzlies right now. But the offense doesn't really come around for him. But he can't. He is mobile. He is a live body, and he can rebound and he can block shots. And the big thing is, you would hope that he would be the secondary big man if Hope, like I said, keep Hope alive. If they can get the waiver to go through for Dane Danger, then you would have something to work with what else Penny's putting together over there.
And then we got the NFL draft tonight, and I'm hoping the 3-year drought since Dylan Parham and Calvin Austin got drafted, that between Hennigan, Rock Taylor, Chandler Martin, probably the best chance, and I'll even throw in Mario Anderson, the running back, a little bit here. I don't think he's going to get drafted, but I'm going to put that name out there. Between those 4 guys, does the drought for the Tigers come to an end in the next few days?
I would say yes. I would say that the scouts are very enamored with Seth Hennigan. He will be on somebody's roster. He'll get picked because he is it's not just that, okay, is his arm strength, he showed his arm strength was fine at the combine. People were questioning his arm strength. The deal is the kid is intelligent. He's not a turnover guy. He knows where to go with the ball, and he can get it there. Whatever throw you want him to make, he can make. But he's a smart quarterback who won't get you in trouble by turning the ball over. And that is a skill. He's big enough. He's got the size. He's not the most mobile guy in the world, but neither was some guy that played for the Patriots that won out of how many Super Bowls. So, I think, yes, he will be drafted. Now,
I don't think he's going to be Tom Brady, but I think he's good enough to make an NFL team. I will see you Saturday, spring game. We're doing it on the air, 3 o'clock at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. And I know before that you've got a 5K run that you're involved in.
Yeah, Gina Hollenbeck Courage 5K. It's going to be 9 a.m. Saturday out at Shelby Farm. So you got a chance, all you runners out there, lace them up. Got a chance to get out there, run around Hyde Lake, run through Shelby Forest. It's going to be beautiful. Have all kind of food trucks, music and fun, all kind of things for the kids. It's going to be a great event, and it benefits Courage Through Cancer, which is benefits everybody. St. Jude, West Clinic, Baptist Hospital. Come on out. You can register at ctcmemphis.org. That's C as in cat, ctcmemphis.org. Register, come on out and have a great time.
That's Jarvis Greer. We'll see you in just a little bit downtown. Thank you much, Jarvo.
All right, Dave, looking forward to it.
We appreciate it. Jarvo brought to you by the good folks at Grind City. That's not too far from where he resides. That's right. He lives on Mud Island, just a little bit north of Mud Island, right there. You get a great view of downtown. You get a great view of the bridges and the water. That's where Grind City Brewing is, and they got this modern brewery that is so gorgeous. In there, they make all these wonderful local products that have become a staple. You can get them in all of the spirit shops around Memphis, and in some of the bars, you can just go up and say, I want some Grind City, see what they got. They've got a flavor, I'm sure. I tell you, they're unique things. Like they got a Gator Patrol Tangerine Cream Sour. This is sweet, tart, refreshing. It's perfect for spring and summer. It's a fruited sour. Some of them call it sunshine in glass. It's got this balance with a subtle hint of cream. You can't beat it. It's the Gator Patrol. You can't beat Grind City. It's become an iconic taste and an iconic place. They got a concert venue there now with a permanent stage. That's Grind City Brewing. Go check them out. Tell them we sent you. That'll do it for us. Tomorrow, we've got Andy Schiffman coming your way on the NBA and Munzie to talk about this class that is being put together by Penny Hardaway. It'll be a big Friday. In the meantime, Johnny Radio's next. Have a great day, everyone.